Okay, perfect. So, once again, thank you for attending this webinar. We're going to go ahead and we're going to give you an introduction to what we can change inside of Apptivo in order to make it easier to use and more streamlined for your business. And there's many different reasons you might want to customize Apptivo and make it more simple for yourself and your employees. So let's go ahead and let's just start off with why would you want to simplify Apptivo? What are the benefits of it? And I've got a couple key items right here. And the first one is just kind of removing visual clutter, make the platform look nicer. I mean, it's just the same concept of cleaning up your desk and keeping a clean work environment is it helps you focus in on what you really need to pay attention to. And one of the keys is preventing errors. If you're able to simplify the system and remove items that are not used or should not be used, then you can prevent your employees from actually putting information in there and producing problems in your process. Then another one of the keys is the speed. If we are able to go in there and remove elements that you're not using, or maybe take commonly used items and make them more visible, then what we can do is we can actually make your general usage of the application, the amount of time it takes you to perform each action, and take that and reduce it. Then right along that line is the reducing the learning curve. So of course, reducing it for yourself, although as an administrator, you're going to be doing all the configuration, so it's not as important for you as it is important for your employees. So the more work that you do as an administrator to remove the extra clutter and the features that are not in use by your process, the easier it's going to be for one of your new users to get into the system and immediately start being productive. And really all of those other benefits combine together for the final and most important piece, which is to increase adoption. If you don't utilize the system, you can't truly get the benefits from it, so simplifying it allows you to get more usage out of it. Okay, so now that we've run through those points, let's go ahead and take a look at, well, what can we do to achieve all of those items. And today's presentation, we're going to focus in on 5 key items. It starts off with the basics, which I'm sure most of you already know, but we can reorganize the app navigation and choose exactly which apps are present and go remove any of the apps that are not in use by this particular user. Then we're going to go into the specific applications, and pretty much the most common customization that you're going to do in Apptivo to simplify it for your users is to customize the fields. We're going to be able to go in and not only can you create your own custom fields, but you can remove all of the fields that are not in use by your business. That way, when you go into, let's say, the Contacts app, you're only going to have those couple details that you want your employees to enter. Then after you've customized the fields in each app, there's other settings that we can take advantage of, such as changing the default home page. So when I first go to an app, will it take me to the correct spot right away without having to go through 1 or 2 extra clicks? And then also when you're searching through your data, so if I bring up a list of contacts, which details do I want visible to me without having to click on any record to bring up its details? So we'll go through changing all those in each of the apps. And then there's also a couple more features that each of the apps contain, although these ones are a little bit more specialized. So number 4 is to disable the business flows or the conversion flows in Apptivo. So we'll demonstrate how I can shut off, let's say, the work orders flow. So even if I'm using the Estimates app, I might not want to allow my employees to go to a work order. So we'll control the business paths that you can take. And then the last part is certain features can actually be shut off entirely. So if you don't want to use, let's say, the follow-ups or the email feature, you can turn that off. Or we can get into some advanced items, such as in project management, we can turn off specific features, such as the project scope or the project budget. So for today, we're just going to go ahead. We're going to hop through these 5. I'm going to spend a few minutes on each one of them, and we're just going to show you where you go inside of the application in order to make these changes. So let's go ahead. Let's get out of this slideshow, and let's hop right into a web browser. Hopefully you see my dream car right here, maybe one day, if I'm able to get efficient enough with Apptivo. But here we go. We're going to go ahead. We're going to hop into my demonstration account. And it'll bring us into our central dashboard. So we'll just keep hopping back and referencing this slide deck right here. The first item is reorganizing the navigation. So what this means is it's the black bar on top of the page. And the key information to understand here is that you have full control over which apps appear in this navigation. You also have full control over the order of which the apps appear up here, and this is customized for each individual user. So your accountant can have a different set of applications than your salesperson would have. And the way I control this is twofold. First of all, let's talk about the simplification. completely removing an app. So maybe you set up Apptivo, you were trying things out, and you discovered that, well, I don't really need the distributors app out of supply chain. So what I can do is I can just remove it from this list. It's not going to delete any data or anything like that. It's simply going to hide it away and simplify my interface. So if I want to add or remove an app from this list right here under the More menu, I'm going to use our App Store. Found in the upper right corner right here, I hop on over to the App Store. You'll see the left navigation has a list of each category, so it's going to match up with those categories we see right here. And then I can go to Supply Chain, and we find the Distributors app. So you'll see it says Added for all mine. I just move my mouse over, it says Remove App, and then I can click on that, and then the change is instant. So once I come to another page, and I check that again, we now see the Distributors app is no longer present. So now, beyond that, what I can do is I can make my most commonly used applications available in one click from right here. So let's say on the flip side, I find myself going into the Employees app every single day. It's one of the most common things that I access. And I find that I'm actually not going into my opportunities or my contacts apps that often. I use customers a lot. So what I can do is I can condense this and simplify it to get the things that I need accessible as fast as possible. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click my name in the upper right corner and go into Preferences. So keep in mind every user has their own preferences area, so they'll all customize their own. And then I clicked on Customize Home here in the left column, and you'll see I have my section My Apps. So up here is where I can use these little drop-down menus. I'll leave Projects and Customers as is, and then I said Contact or Employees was really important. So what I can do is I'll see the same apps that I have from the App Store, and I can select Employees, and instantly that changes up here. And then I mentioned I still want to have access to the CRM apps, but they're not quite as common. So not only can I select an individual app up there, you'll see I can actually just click on the word CRM right here, and it will put that entire category up top. So now I can have all my CRM apps available in one drop-down. I've got my top 3 or 4 apps right here, and then every app that I have enabled is right here. Okay, so that's the first step of reorganizing your navigation, getting the interface simplified from the top down. And then let's talk about the other navigation, because right here on the home page, you'll see that there was an agenda over here on the left. So this is another form of a navigation, and we do allow you to customize this as well. Now you'll notice a trend here, which is all the customizations unique to the individual user, where each person can control their own. These are all handled through the Preferences area. So if I want to adjust these, I can disable one, or I can rearrange the order of them. And once again, I'm going to do that through the Preferences area. So for this one, it's under the Collaboration section in the left column. And here, I'll see a list of each item. You'll actually notice that I've already disabled one, my work queue, because I just decided it was not in use. I could additionally go ahead and disable the call log feature. Or you'll see I can even choose the defaults that I load into. So right now when I go to the calendar, it shows me my month view. I could adjust this to go to the week view if that was the most common thing I needed. So now the idea is I've simply removed one click. So my call logs are gone, a little bit simplified, and when I click to calendar, it goes to my weekly view. So just a couple more tweaks that you can make to these main navigations, the first 2 layers when you get into Apptivo. Alright, so that's it for number 1. We're going to talk about the big one now, the field customization. And this is really, really special in Apptivo. So every app will allow you to control the various fields available. Each app, when you set up your new business, is going to come with some certain default fields. So we'll go ahead and we'll demonstrate this inside of the Contacts application. Now, when I come in and I create a contact, you can expect the basics. A phone number, a name, a company, etc. But there might be some fields that we include which you do not want to have. So we have some fields like market and segment, or maybe even certain things like customer or phone number just don't apply. Maybe do 100% email communication. Whatever your business requires, what we provided from Apptivo is simply a stencil for what you can accomplish. So you'll actually notice that I've done some fairly heavy customization myself. I've added a bunch of details in here. But what I can do is I can actually come in and let's say that I've got a section project details and I don't want it visible at all. I'm just going to go ahead and remove that because I'm not using it in my company. And this applies to any custom field or any default field. What I'm going to do is if the fields are inside of the Contacts app, which is where we're at right now, I'm going to go into the settings of that app. So settings up here in the upper right corner, hop on in there. And then in the left column, we'll see all the different options we have available, but we're looking for the one called Customize App. So this is it's probably the step that's going to take you the longest out of all these. It's the one that you should put the most effort into because it's going to have the greatest impact on how you use the system day to day. Because these fields are everything, all the data you're typing into the system and storing away for later. So if you want to keep it nice and simple, you'll see all my sections appear here just like they did when I created a contact. And it's as simple as just moving your mouse over. You'll see as I move my mouse over each field, there's little trash icons, so I can delete an individual field. And I can even delete an entire section of fields at once. So sometimes you might see that there's a bunch of sections, but maybe you're the kind of person who prefers everything just visible in one box right on top. Like you only have 6 or 7 details that you need to track about each contact. You can even do things such as taking information from these other boxes. So you'll notice we have a special section for address details. And you might say, well, I don't really need a special section for address details. I also don't really need 2 address fields. Oops, that's a mandatory one. So what you can do is you can come through here and we can actually drag these up. So I can take this address section and I can put it right here into my first section of fields. Once I've done that, well, now I can just go ahead and I can wipe out that address details section that's duplicate. So I can actually go through and I could do this with each one of the areas. So I've got my social information. Maybe I track their LinkedIn page, but none of these other ones are relevant. So I'll go ahead, I'll drag LinkedIn to a spot that's right for my business. I'm just going to delete the rest of the social information items. So I absolutely recommend going through there. And the general rule of thumb is if you don't have benefit from typing in the information and wanting to search on that information later on, your best move is to remove the field and not type it in at all because it's going to save you time, it's going to increase that adoption, it's just going to make it easier for everybody to use. So you want to run through here and wipe out every field you don't use, and of course, throughout the whole time, if you have a field that you think you do need to add that's not in there, we can use our custom fields right there in the left, and I can create my own brand new fields, name them whatever I want, do whatever changes I need to do. You get these fields looking exactly how you want for your business, nothing more, nothing less. So that right there is an absolute huge part of the customization. I am going to show you 2 more little pieces of information that you need to know about the field customization, which is the security and the sharing. So sharing comes into play when, let's say you set up a business flow. You're tracking your sales, then you produce an estimate, then you go to a work order, then you go to an invoice, and you have certain details that you want to transfer along the whole way. Many details will transfer automatically for you. So we mentioned the phone number, the address, all those pieces of information are going to flow right along. But even your custom details that you've included, such as this special section called Office Details, I have the ability to share it with my other applications. And then what this sharing does is it'll make this section of fields instantly appear in the other applications. And if I end up converting, let's say, a contact to a customer, any data in these fields will transfer along to the next step. So absolutely, if you have fields in common across applications, you should create them in one application and share with the others. This will make it much easier to maintain moving forward and also offers the benefit of these records being able to share data between each other when you're doing conversions. And the other part of simplification when it comes to your fields is potentially hiding or making certain fields read-only to segments of your users. So what you could have is a very simplified view for your general user. Let's say when a general user comes in, you only want them to view these top details, the phone number, the basic information about a contact. But then I can have a section called, you'll see here, admins only. And these ones, I just say they're not relevant to my typical user. So I want them completely hidden. What you're able to accomplish is actually securing that section of field, and then you can protect it so it's only visible or editable by a certain segment of users. Those are called custom security privileges. It's definitely a topic all on its own, but absolutely you can hide certain fields from certain users to simplify the interface for them. Okay, so we just talked about customizing fields, and the next item was still at the app level, which is changing the default homepage, which we actually got a taste for when we first talked about changing your agenda, your calendar view to the week view. And then also a really big one is changing your columns to remove the extra details that you don't want visible when searching through a list of contacts. And that fits right in with the field customization. And let me show you why. So let's go ahead and let's do a basic search. Let's say in our contacts we want to search and we're going to filter by all of our CEOs that are in our contact database. So we've got this small little list right here. Now in your company, potentially, as we mentioned, you just simply do not use phone numbers. You are pure email communication. So in this case, having the phone number visible here would be a waste of space, just extra clutter. Once again, we're destroying the clutter in this presentation. So what we can do is we can actually adjust the defaults for your business so we can choose exactly which columns are visible here and which are not visible. And for that, it's another area where we're going to go into the settings of the app. So just keep in mind what we have right here: first name, last name, categories, phone, email. Now let's go ahead and make an adjustment to that. We're going to go into our settings area, and this is contained inside of the view column sets over here in the left column. Now here, you'll see we have several different defaults which are available for you to choose from, but this one on top, this is going to be the standard set of columns that are displayed whenever you go do a search. So you'll notice it matches up: first, last, categories, phone, email. And we spoke about removing phone. So what we'll do is we'll remove that, but of course we also might want to add something else. So maybe we'll go ahead and we'll add like their city off their billing address. And then we'll go and we'll remove the phone number. So you'll see it changes right here in the configuration. And now if we go do that same search and try to grab a list of our CEOs, the update should take effect instantly. So right there, you'll see we've removed the field that we're not using in our business, and then we've even had the benefit of adding another field which we might use more often. So absolutely, run through each of the applications, and you can customize these fully. And one cool little tidbit is you can actually customize them one at a time, which is what you're seeing me do right here. But you do have the capabilities to take custom fields that you've created, such as items from that admin only or office details section, and I can even make my own custom fields visible inside of these search results here. So you have complete flexibility over what's shown in each app. Then the other item that we mentioned was customizing the home page. So what I mean by that is I log into Apptivo. This is the first page I see. Now I decide that I want to go look up a list of contacts. I want to go find a contact in my database. Or maybe I want to find a project or find a customer record. So I'm going to click on the app right here from my main navigation. And this determines what do I see on this first click. So this has actually been customized a little bit. So I'll switch this back to the default. There's actually a setting. It's under the Views area right here, and it allows you to control the default homepage. So you'll see mine says by priority high. There's actually a typical projects homepage, which you'll see I just updated. So if I come back here and go to projects, now you'll see I get dumped onto this page with the news feed and a list of projects that I've recently looked at. So what you can do is think about each app. What do you do in that app most often? Do you go and instantly try to grab somebody you just looked at? Do you want to go and look at, let's say, a list of your highest priority cases going on right now, or maybe your highest priority opportunities? Figure out where you're going to go most commonly, and then we can go and we can change that default setting to take you there right away. It's a very small change, but if you think about day after day, week after week, these little things can really start to add up with how much time that they save you and your employees. So that's just changing the default homepage, kind of where you navigate around. There are some other very similar settings to this. So you'll see one is the default 360 app. And the 360 feature, in case you don't know, let me go ahead and do a very quick demonstration just so you have some context for this. Now I'm going to go into the Customers app. I'm going to bring up a customer record in my CRM. The 360 is a feature that shows you related data from the other apps. So it allows me to see a history of invoices for a customer or a history of projects or sales opportunities. And you'll notice when I clicked on that orange tab right here for 360, it selected contacts. So the default 360 app allows me to pick what I want to see by default. So if in my business I'm strictly using the contact management, the customer records, and then I'm primarily doing invoicing, or if I'm primarily doing project management, it might make sense for me to make invoices the default. So instead of having to click that drop down and select invoices every time, I can head right back into the settings. I'm going to go to Views, and then I can just change this drop down right here to say invoices instead. So simple as that. Next time I go to 360, it'll take me right to invoices. So there's lots of little defaults like that. They're going to save you little pieces of time as you go in and out of the apps. All right, so let's talk about this item right here, disabling business flows. This one's very closely related to shutting off features, but this is particularly pertaining to the actual processes that you can run through. And probably the best example for this is in the opportunities application. So let's go ahead and let's head into an opportunity, and let me show you the conversion that I'm speaking about right now. So currently, I actually have a very simplified setup where I've only enabled one of the flows, I believe. So I'm looking at my sales opportunity. You'll see there's a button in the upper right to convert. This allows us to take it to the next stage in Apptivo. And you'll see when I click that, my only option is to go to an estimate. But Apptivo actually contains the functionality to create an estimate or a work order or an invoice or a project directly from the opportunity. I've simply chosen to disable those flows because they don't apply to my company. So what I can do is actually, once again, go into the settings area, and you'll see there's an option on the left for conversion. And this will show you the available flows, and I can very easily just go turn on a couple more flows. We could go search for that same exact opportunity, and then you'll see that it takes instant effect, where now I can go ahead and I can choose from one of these other available business flows. So the only reason I wanted to demonstrate this individually is just because it has such large impact on what you might do. Because if I convert to, let's say, the wrong record, I convert to a project when I meant to convert to an estimate, then you could end up producing an error and having to cause a little bit of work for yourself to get that all cleaned up. So that's why it's really important to lock down the conversion flows to what you really need for your company. And coming up on the end here, I want to run through and I want to show you some various features that you can just totally shut off. And there's a couple classes of features that you can turn off. One is more navigation items. So beyond just the main navigation on the top of the page, there's also many other navigations. So I'm here in the Opportunities app, and I've got these lists on the left. I can customize the order of this list and which items appear here. Those are called our views. Then there's also the capability to shut off entire features. It could be common features. So for example, I can come to the Opportunities app, and I can say that I'm never going to use the follow-ups feature here. I can entirely shut the follow-ups feature off, or hide it for a certain segment of users. And then additionally, I can shut off unique features in each app. So these ones are a little bit more sporadic, but this is, for example, I can go into the Projects app and turn off a feature. So let me go ahead and let me show you at least one example of all three of these. And let's start off with the navigation customization. So every app has a navigation over here on the left, allows you to easily sort through and locate the pieces of data you're looking for. Now, sometimes you're going to have a navigation item such as by territory when your business doesn't use territories, so in which case this has no purpose to you. And some businesses may not do custom views, or maybe you heavily use custom views. So you want these visible maybe a little bit higher up than these other items. So what we get to do is we can choose which items appear, and we can also choose the order in which they appear. For this, we'll head into the settings of that application, cruise on over to the Views area, and we'll be able to check out our drag and drop interface to control all of this. So right back here on the Views page, same thing as the default home page, you'll just see this list on the bottom. So these are the various views. You'll see I've already turned a few off. Very simple to turn an additional one off. So we mentioned territories. There we go. I just disable that. It's all done. And then you notice that I can click and drag. So if I want all opportunities up here in the top, and maybe my views is very important, I can go ahead and rearrange those however I want, and then those changes are immediately apparent over here on the left. So you'll see all opportunities up, followed by my views. So you can go through each of the applications and customize that navigation. Now let's talk about some of the features that you can shut off. And the primary feature that you can disable are the collaboration features. So in each app, you'll see there's a little collaboration area, has a list of each one of those tabs that are present when viewing any record. And then what we can do is we can choose which one should be enabled, or you're going to see a drop-down menu on the right. And this allows us to apply a security restriction, meaning we can make these features not disabled, but they could simply be invisible to a certain segment of your users. So in this case, we mentioned, let's just say that once again, I don't talk on the phone with my clients. I only do email. So I could just shut off the call logs feature. And then if we go hop back to Pete Chevrolet, we should see that there's no call log available on top. So right there, it's been stripped away, and I could pare down to only the couple tabs that I would like present in each one of my apps. And you do get to control that per each app. So I could have call logs enabled inside of Opportunities, but disabled inside of Project Management. Okay, and I'm just going to quickly hop in there and re-enable that one. Oops, collaboration, show it again. And the very last thing that I'm going to show you before I let you all go is turning off specific features. So there is no standard features that are able to be turned on and turned off. It's just within each app we've selected certain features that are not necessarily in use by all customers, and we gave you the functionality to turn them off. So if I bring up one of my projects in the system, you'll see I have a budget tab. I also have a tab for scope, for example. And if I'm looking on the overview tab, I scroll down, I should have an area, actually it looks like I might have disabled it, for sub-projects. So this is a perfect example where I've turned off one of the features and left the other two enabled. So what you can do is, let's say I never use this scope tab. It's just a feature that's not relevant to my company. Or maybe I only do internal projects. I never bill my customers for my projects. I can head on into the settings area, and there'll be some various spots in here that allow us to shut these features off. So in this example, I go to the View section of projects. I have the same settings we saw before, but I also have these advanced features. So you'll see Show Project Milestones, Project Scope, right there. So that would allow me to re-enable my sub-project. And then, for example, I could disable my project scope. Now, if I go bring up that same project once again, we'll just go ahead and quickly verify those settings, and then we'll get it all wrapped up for today. So notice my project scope completely missing now. And if I scroll on down, I've got a table for sub-projects. So now I can start using Apptivo's sub-project feature. Okay, so that's going to about do it for today. I hope you found this presentation quite helpful. If you need any further insight on customizing Apptivo or getting assistance for your business, absolutely feel free to reach out to us, our handy little support chat right here. Get that real-time support. And if you prefer to go online and just kind of do some general searching, then the best place to get help is the community page on our website. So just navigate over to apptivo.com, upper right corner, you click on community, and you'll find thousands of help articles here based on each of the apps and allow you to figure out exactly what settings you need and help you find anything else. So once again, thanks everybody for attending, and we'll see you next time.